Alright, I'll try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. This will be Q&A video number 15. First question comes from Jakub Kowalski regarding training to failure. Is the demand on the brain and the body the same or different if I take this set to concentric failure, isometric failure, or eccentric failure? So to help you better understand this, you got to understand what's happening when you take a set to failure. What are you doing? What are you performing? You're performing a maximal voluntary contraction. Now there's different types of contractions. Concentric, isometric, and eccentric. But irrespective of the type of contraction, when you take a set to failure, you're performing a maximal voluntary contraction. Therefore, the demand is going to be relatively identical. The next question comes from RewDowns. He basically said, after watching your videos, I understand if I want to build muscle, I got to recruit and fatigue as many muscle fibers as possible throughout a muscle's entirety without overworking my capacity to recover. Therefore, I got to pick the right tools for the job, so I overload my muscles in their longest, shortest, and mid-range position. Can you give me some examples for the chest of exercises that would do that? Now, irrespective of the muscle that you're training, to better understand this so you can make the best decision for yourself, you got to understand the universal law of levers. You got to understand the biomechanics of the exercise. Universal law of levers has two variables. You got the lever, which is your bones. You got the direction of resistance, which is whatever way the resistance were to go if you were to drop it and let it go. When those two variables are perpendicular to one another is when the muscles that attach to that bone have to do the most amount of work to overcome the resistance. I call this the point of overload. So what you got to do is you got to identify the point of overload and then say, okay, what muscle pulls on that bone at the point of overload, and what relative length position is it in? Is it in its longest position? Is it in its shortest position? Or is it somewhere in between? When you understand this, you could say to yourself, okay, I already have an exercise that overloads that muscle at that range, so maybe I don't want to include this into my strategy, or maybe I do, depending on what else is included. So that should help you with understanding so you can make the best decision for yourself. Now, another question you had, you said, would the landmine press, and I'm assuming when the bar is jammed into the landmine device, that you're pressing up and across the body, would that be a good exercise to overload the pec in its shortest position? Now, in my opinion, total fucking garbage, total fucking waste of time, and here's why. Load times time under optimal tension. The more weight you can lift and the more times you can lift it, the greater potential growth response. Anything that compromises the amount of weight you can lift or the amount of times you can lift it is going to compromise the end result. Now, stability is a prerequisite to force production. The more stable you are, the more force you can produce, the more weight you can lift. The more unstable you are, the less weight you can lift. You're not very stable when moving the landmine around, which travels in 3 dimensions, and as a result, your capacity to produce force is going to be limited. So for that reason, in my opinion, total fucking garbage, total fucking waste of time. All that swearing is a good segue into the next comment from Raychel Corinne. She basically said, I want to share your videos with other people, but I think others might find the swearing offensive. So for that reason, I'm not going to. Now, you don't have to share the videos. I appreciate the constructive criticism, and I understand that swearing could be offensive to some people, but I don't even look at it as swearing. I call them passion words. I speak with a lot of passion. I'm very passionate about what I do. So while I'm open to constructive criticism, I will say that I'm not going to change who I am to satisfy other people, because you can fail in life at anything you do by being someone you're not. So you might as well be yourself. I'm very passionate about this. I love this shit. Who else would take time from their life to put out almost 200 videos in less than a year that do nothing but provide value? Someone who's very fucking passionate about what they're doing. So I appreciate the constructive criticism. I am open to constructive criticism. Let me know what you think of me. But I will say, in regards to this, I'm not swearing to sound cool or because I like to swear. It's an expression of how passionate I feel about whatever it is that I'm talking about. And if it offends somebody, I'm sorry. Now the next question, I got 2 people asking very similar questions. We got trackfan080 and Ajb111482. He's asked me this on multiple occasions. Where did you learn from? Where's your knowledge coming from? I want to judge where the knowledge is coming from. Really? Why the fuck does it matter where the knowledge is coming from? Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Now, I understand I've got almost 200 videos, so I don't expect everybody to have watched every video. So when I say I've said it before and I'll say it again, what I'm going to say here is I'm a high school dropout. I am self-taught. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to school for anything. So why it matters where the information came from, I don't fucking know. I do a lot of reading by choice every single day. So where the knowledge came from all the books that I choose to read, from the stuff I choose to read online, and then also the way my brain interprets what I'm reading. This didn't come from some school. And what kills me is, if I told you I was a Harvard grad, and I had a PhD. Would that change the way you view the information? Seriously? It shouldn't fucking matter. Is what I'm saying making sense? Yes or no? Does it sound like it could be right? I'm not even saying I am right or that I'm even right about anything. But just look at what I'm saying and say, does that make sense? Yeah, it probably does. I'm going to put it into practice and see for myself. Or if it doesn't make sense, explain why. And then maybe we could talk about it, because that's the only way I or you are going to get better. Biggie Smalls said, considered a fool because I dropped out of high school. And then he goes on to say, stereotypes of a black male misunderstood, and it's still all good. That doesn't apply to me. But then he goes on to say, damn right I like the life I live, because I went from negative to positive, and it's all good. You like the information, share it. Click the fucking button at the bottom of the screen you're looking at. Subscribe to the channel. Support me, and I'm going to keep on fucking bringing it.